a country's 5 loaves of bread. They are foundational for the economy. No economy grows except by growing its micro, small and medium scale
driving
enterprises.
business.
So whatever solutions we have come from the people in this room and the businesses that they start. So SMEs are your 5 loaves of bread. So Honorable Bahati also said that I should convey a challenge to you all about the nature of the crisis we are facing with small and micro and medium-scale enterprises. It's basically a challenge of growth. As some of you know, I wear many hats. In one of our leadership organizations, I teach a class, and the class is on authentic leadership. One of the questions I ask is, why is it that after nearly 60 years of Ugandan independence, we do not have a dollar billionaire? In this country, we have been talking potential for the entire time we have been independent. But still, in the economy, we do not have a dollar billionaire. This is not just embarrassing, ladies and gentlemen, okay? But it points to a crisis of the lack of growth. So I can stand here and talk about how you can multiply the 5 loaves of bread, our micro enterprises, but we have to address the challenge of growth. Today I'm here on behalf of Mr. Morrison Ruakakamba, who is the board chair of the Uganda Investment Authority, where I sit on the board. And I convey his greetings and that of the management of URA. I want to start executing this task by throwing that challenge to you. As you go back home, think about it. If our country, this country will not live on potential alone. So find ways of answering that question of growth. Part of it has been discussed here in the previous session about the various initiatives that feed into growing an enterprise from its micro stage and maybe to a corporate stage. I have many stories along this road, but I want to offer these few insights before I get into our main speech. First, as I said, small businesses or small and growing businesses are foundational for all economies. This is true. But the best way to think about SMEs and their status in the country is not as economic actors. I'll be telling you a lie if all I came and did here was talk about numbers and figures and about money. We all know that small enterprises are social institutions. They are about families. Many of you in this room may have started your career because your parents ran a farm, ran a trade, were traders. They bought and sold things. That's the history of most of us. We basically migrated, mostly anyway, most of us, from upcountry into the city. So micro enterprises are a microcosm of society itself. They are social institutions. In other words, we owe them a greater duty of care, not just as participants in the institutions of the country, and not just as business people. As social institutions, these enterprises also represent our greatest concern. Why? Right now, in the context of the crisis, the double crisis of the pandemic and the current disruptions in the global economy, it is this social institution that is suffering the most. On Tuesday, on my way from Entebbe, I was picked up by a man called John Wamala. Wamala, like many other persons here, he has a small business. It's his car. He uses it as an Uber, and occasionally just as a private taxi. That is what feeds his family. So when we got here, he told me, Angelo, by the way, don't worry about traffic because there are fewer cars on the road. I said, why? He said, is it because of the express highway? He says, no, you just wait. When we reach Busega, you will see what's going on. Many of us have had to park our cars because the cost of fuel is too high. People like Wamala, in the next 3 months, if we continue on this path, will fail to raise money for school fees, may not be able to meet their rent obligations if they don't own their own home. That really is the environment in which we discuss MSMEs as a social institution. Are we still together? Yeah, because I think it's a lot more serious than figures. I'm not a huge fan of the term middle income because middle income talks about figures. What does that even mean? Do you see yourself reflected in that aggregate term? I like micro and small scale enterprises because at least there you are dealing with issues at the ground level. So I want to talk to you briefly about some of the challenges I've observed with regard to this growth question. First, I'm going to give you a figure which some of you who are involved in the oil and gas sector, which is where most of the investment in the country is going, will see and maybe even weep. In the last conference, or the National Conference on Oil and Gas, the Petroleum Authority put up a slide that said, out of the nearly 80-something contracts handed out, the value of which is in excess of $6 billion US. $6 billion US. Okay? Over $5.6 million US of that amount went to foreign firms. I looked at the Ugandan component of that spend. The one that UIA is most interested in, joint ventures, had only 12% of that amount. And yet, ladies and gentlemen, we constantly are told that the government and our institutions and legal infrastructure is focused on local content. Local content is basically the growth area for micro and small scale enterprises. How is it that an investment, the biggest investment, that had already spent $6 billion US out of the $10 billion to be spent this year, and over 70% of that money is in foreign firms? Isn't that a crisis? The way it is translated is like this. Most small and growing businesses have got 3 problems. First, access to capital. Capital is scarce. The second is capacity. Knowledge is a cost. So issues like bookkeeping, records, management, the platform and the forum might offer some relief, but that is a cost. The third is technology, because there is now growing demand, but it's a growing demand in quality products. The technology to respond to this is also a cost, and adapting for small-scale enterprises is difficult. But what I found most inhibiting for that growth question is that for some reason, small and growing businesses in Uganda can't seem to cooperate with each other. Today we are here at the launch of a forum. But I can tell you, in most sectors where the government has intervened, the inability to scale has been because small businesses remain individual units that cannot band together. whatever the model is, cooperatives, partnerships, joint ventures that we are interested in, well, you cannot grow unless you cooperate. A study was done, I can't share it here with you, but a study was done on the cultural practices of Ugandan businesses compared to foreign-owned businesses in this country. One of the things that was identified is that, as my member from the Indian Business Association here would know, most of the businesses that are scaling in Uganda, the foreign firms, are growing because they cooperate with each other. They operate almost as a syndicate. They share all those things that I identified: money, capacity, technology. How can we grow small businesses and scale them if we do not figure out how they can cooperate with each other? There is your growth problem for small and medium-scale enterprises. So Honorable Bahati told me to lay the challenge down to you and tell you that in order to satisfy this growth question, take advantage of the scarce opportunities that the taxpayer through the government is investing in this sector. You must find a way of cooperating with each other, and you must think of yourselves as small today, big tomorrow. Now, at the Investment Authority, we're doing many things to deal with this growth question. One is we launched a domestic investment division just to cater to small enterprises. And Director Winnie Laoko is the one who is in charge. She's over there. Director Laoko, you can stand up. That is a dedicated division which we are going to grow just to deal with the issue of Ugandan businesses. As a matter of fact, when you come to the Business Facilitation Center here, as a Ugandan business, you'll have your own lane, because we want to take this matter seriously. Secondly, apart from attracting investment and implementing the various agencies and the processes we run under the One-Stop Center, we would like to grow joint ventures. Medium enterprises that with the right help can participate in growth areas of the economy, not just oil and gas. Now, my chairman and the Director General had asked me to speak about the challenges that are of the current operating environment. The knock-on effect of COVID-19 and the current problems in the globe, obviously they affect small and medium-scale enterprises the most. These problems, first of all, during the lockdown meant that workers stayed at home, that supply chains were tested by these shutdowns, and SMEs that provide 70% of the jobs in Uganda and account for half the economic activity are put under severe stress. The vulnerability around this time is because, like I said, fewer resources are available for small businesses to adapt. Most of the SMEs, by the way, simply survive on savings. So in a pandemic, I'll give you another figure. According to the National Health Accounts, which is the figures published by the Ministry of Health, about all spending on health in the country, over 60%, and that's a conservative figure, of healthcare spending in Uganda is out of pocket. That is the crisis, ladies and gentlemen. It means that every family is almost one sickness away from their entire savings being wiped out. So the pandemic really hit small businesses hard. 1/5 of all SMEs say they risk shutting down permanently within 3 months. But the fact of the matter is many of them have shut down and are trying to find their way back. Then we look at the distribution of gender across SMEs. 64% are women-led firms, and they say their business operations are strongly affected compared to the male-led companies. 26% youth-led firms said they also risk shutting down permanently within 3 months, compared to 18% of non-youth-led businesses. This mostly is a question of the growth issue that I raised earlier. What happens in a home when there are few resources? The women and able children take up the slack. Women can't come to work if the home is in crisis. That's what these figures actually mean. So unlocking the potential of SMEs requires our focus and attention. Harnessing, leveraging, building on synergies between SMEs and others in the ecosystem, and between public, private, and civic sections of the marketplace to address and trigger launches of schemes and programs that seek to facilitate and provide the following: the adequate flow of credit from financial institutions and banks, support for technology upgrades and modernization, integrated infrastructure facilities, modern testing facilities and quality certification, access to modern management practices, entrepreneurship development and skill upgrades through appropriate training facilities, support for product development, design, intervention and packaging, such as with artisans and workers, assistance to better access to domestic and export markets, creation of innovation regional clusters to promote capacity building and empowerment of those units and their collectives. At the authority, all of these things are being incubated in various ways. We are launching industrial park spaces, as the minister said, but they are located largely in regional areas and near markets that we are focused on in the region, such as recently we launched something in West Nile together with the regional administration of the Ituri province for access to that market. We're going to do something in the 2 centers in the west of the country, and we have parks in the east and the northeast. So, ladies and gentlemen, new standards and regulations will increasingly govern cross-border businesses, including services, industry, agriculture. So national bodies such as ours must actively engage the private sector as a means of providing solutions, support, and advice on relevant standards for SMEs. So in conclusion, while I still have your attention, I want to tell you that under our limited mandate as the Investment Authority, which is investment promotion and facilitation, we are committed, and we have demonstrated as such, to the growth of SMEs across the country, to allow them access business development services and business impact management services. Our national SME portal is a digital platform that we are instrumentalizing to see that forward and backward linkages to foreign direct investment, financial institutions and markets, and relevant ecosystem players are available to SMEs. Now, all of that is well and good, but I want to leave you again, since we're all Ugandans in this room, to think critically about this growth question. 42 million people depend on the micro-scale movements of small and growing businesses. Anytime a small business innovates, the impact is felt across the economy, not just for the family that is involved. So I would like to thank you for having listened to me and accept the apologies of my chairman of the board, Morrison Rakakamba, who wished he would be here, but he's actually up country. And you are welcome anytime to the authority. One last task I leave to you is quite a practical one. If you are a small business, come and get the UIA investment license. Find where you sit within our domestic investment division. Give us the opportunity to work on your behalf. And then let's succeed and grow together for God and my country. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Mr. Angelo Izam, please. Thank you very much for those wise words and those challenges. And I really interested. We actually don't have a Ugandan billionaire in dollars. They lied to us sometime back then. They told us about somebody who was a billionaire. You know who that person was? Hey, he's not Ugandan? Those are bigger problems. Let me not get into them. I'm not going to touch that conversation now. So please remember that after the next two presentations, we do have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions for anybody who has done a presentation here, of course, if they are still here, do keep it to yourself. We will have a quick panel discussion at the end. If there's any question, whether it's to the Investment Authority or to the ministry itself or to anyone here present, any SMEs. So let me take this opportunity to invite the Executive Director or the representative from UNBS, Mr. David Livingstone Ebiru, to please come and give his remarks. Thank you. I'm not sure who took our sanitizer from here, but it would be nice if we could have it back. I thank you.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Dear members, apologies from the Executive Director of UNBS. He's not been able to make it, but is ably represented. My name is Ronald. I head the SME development at UNBS, and I'm here just to share what standards are for, what UNBS stands for, and how we can move forward. To begin with, UNBS is mandated to develop, promote, and regulate standards. But in the development component, standards are ideally developed by stakeholders, not just UNBS. Only UNBS does secretarial work. It only coordinates the efforts to the development. Then after development, the implementation is also done by the stakeholders, guided by UNBS. That's why we promote and then regulate. The four pillars we stand for, one is the development, the other one is the facilitation for development of standards, the building the trust a consumer would have in a Ugandan product, as well as promoting fair trade and consumer protection. So our mandate is twofold. One, you have to handhold the SMEs. Then two, you have to regulate. You have to use a whip now to ensure there is compliance. However, for this purpose, we are looking mostly on the promotional part, which the leadership of the institution and the government is more interested in, to ensure that through promotion, we can have quicker uptake of standards and actually acceptability, because one, there must be that acceptability for implementation to take place. So main objectives are three: enterprise competitiveness, trade facilitation, and consumer protection. Once those three are met, then we shall have able-bodied workforce, then we shall have employment creation. What UNBS has done as of today, the milestones we have achieved, they are quite a number, but they can be simplified as the following. One, we have coordinated the development of over 4,000 standards. And these standards are developed on demand based on the innovative capacities of enterprises and entrepreneurs. And we have been able to put over between 4,000 and 5,000 standards in place. Because of the vast nature of this economy, UNBS has been able to decentralize services to ensure that our people in Kabale do not have to come to Kampala to access the services. So offices have been opened across the country, and the process is still ongoing. And we hope that with time we shall cover everywhere. We are in Mbarara as our regional office. We are in Mbale. We have in Guru. And that is for certification and promotional part. And then we are in other areas like Jinja, like Lira, for weights and measures or enforcement. Then we have emphasized private-public partnerships. In this case, we know that as UNBS we cannot do much without private sector. And that is why we have been participating very actively in this forum. That our objectives of enterprise competitiveness, standards implementation, consumer protection can only be done when each and every one of us here and elsewhere is part of us. So we have entered into memorandums of understanding with different stakeholders, including but not limited to associations. But we think that through associations and such arrangements, we can reach many in limited time when we are not spending so much based on the available resources. We have entered, all the associations, I think we have entered the MOUs and we are moving slowly. Whereas these MOUs help in collaboration within the associations, the role of compliance is left to the individual enterprise. At times, the associations may not be able to directly assist the enterprise member because of different reasons, including the member participation and activeness. So the member, we can get to them. So as this forum is getting on, the associations, you are called upon to encourage your members or to get more members to be part of you and actively participate in terms of standards implementation and compliance. We have, as an institution, put in place a specialized consideration for SMEs. We have put in place a section which actually coordinates all the activities of SMEs, including, not limited to training, capacity building, technical guidance, to compliance to standards. This particular approach, the SME, you don't have to spend money for you to understand what the standard is or what is expected of you. Only you need to show that you need to know. Then, as the institution, we shall provide you with the necessary support in terms of technical guidance, both off-site through training and on-site through coming to your enterprise to actually guide you through the process. And this way, we'd expect that you will have minimal losses in terms of process management. Then we have in place internationally accredited laboratories for confirmed assessment. Our labs are internationally recognized to do the work that the results will be accepted across border. And these labs, as of now, we have our labs at Boyogerere, our head office, but other labs are being set up in Guru, Mbarara, and Mbali to ensure that even the testing is decentralized. Someone in Kapchorwa should not be bringing the sample to Kampala, they should be able to take it to Mbali. So through development partners and the government of Uganda, we are doing this, and we hope it will answer both the economic and the quality questions. Currently, we are running a voluntary compliance process that you voluntarily apply for certification, and then we support you. And that one is done in the heart of supporting BUBU. Otherwise, certification as a requirement is mandatory for all products that lie under mandatory standards. But we also know that over time, enterprises are innovating and bringing new products on the market. Yes, there is enforcement on one side, but for certification, whereas it is an enforceable idea, we say voluntarily bring your product so that we support you and you can easily comply. This is aimed at, first of all, allowing people to understand and accept the standards implementation process, because it is not a one-day process. It is a continuous process, and it actually calls for some attitude changes and acceptability of the requirements in there. Now, when we go to why do we actually need these standards, I think you all know that a standard is just a document just approved by a recognized body for repeated and common use. Why do we need these documents in place? As I said, they are developed by stakeholders, and why are they necessary? They help in improvement of quality. Just think of a situation that we do not have a standard for water, or maybe for maize flour. What could we be having on the market? Anything could actually be there. But because this standard sets just specifications for common use, there is continuous improvement that enterprises continue until they meet the requirement. And this is done through continuous conformity assessment methods. And that would lead to customer satisfaction, of course, and attracting other customers, and hence business growth. Then there is increased ability to demonstrate the quality of your product. Think of a situation that there is actually no standard, and you have a good product or a bad product. How would you demonstrate to a potential customer that my product actually is good? So with specific codes of practice or specific parameters in the standards, you are able to demonstrate that, you see, my product, it meets or surpasses the standards. And in that way, there is increased confidence in the business and the products. So that person you have demonstrated to will have the confidence. But you see, If you are not certified, for example, no one will know that your product actually meets the standard. Because it's the only way someone will know that someone else, a third party X, that's the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Because UNBS does not do manufacturing, it does not do trade, it does not do anything, it is just a third party in the certification process. And the process is done in a way that it is not biased at all. It will give you the way it is, and then it allows you for continuous improvement until you get there. So you are able to tell your client that, you know, at least my product meets the standards, and that's why I have this mark there. Then if that happens, your company name or just your product, the image will grow. Meaning, someone who has not known about you, but you have told them that, hey, my product is certified, they will pick interest to see what could be the difference between your product and the other one which is not certified. And of course, the difference is there. We all know that standards apply for all of us. It's for common use. At times we manufacture one thing and we are not able to manufacture another part. So standards help us to cooperate and be able to source for resources that comply with what we want. I'll give an example of someone who is in juice manufacturing. And this person has imported a machine for packaging or for packing. And you find that someone who is making bottles, actually the bottles cannot fit on that part where you press the bottle to put in the juice. What happens? But that is only possible where we have standards. So meaning that even if you are making anything, however small it is, make sure you find what standards are applicable to it, and then you implement them. You will be able to get more customers out there through cooperations and market development. Think of a situation that you are milling maize flour, but someone supplying you maize grains from somewhere does not know about your requirement as a standard. They will supply you anything, maybe something very raw, something very adulterated or rotten. What will happen? That would lead to economic loss, first of all, business loss, because you are putting some money in transportation, in handling, and all that. Then finally, it will trigger to economic loss. So without standards, we would have economic losses. Improved ability to meet legislation and regulations. For instance, in the East African community, where we use acceptable standards, ESG standards, you are not able to take your product from here to Kenya or to Rwanda unless it meets the standards. So it means that you prepare yourself earlier in advance before you take your product there. And if it reaches there, they will subject it to conformity assessment through testing. And if it passes, you should be able to access that market. So market is there, but all they need you to do is to comply. So as SMEs, for you to competitively manage the current situation, you need first of all to be aware of what standards exist for your products, and then be aware these standards, how are they implemented? There is knowledge about the existence, and then there is understanding it. Because of the nature of our businesses, standards acquisition, certification, and other related activities, they have been put online as one of our milestones, that our services are online. You can buy a standard without going to UNBS. You can be certified without going to UNBS at any point in time. You only go to UNBS website, and all the processes are there. But also for those who have maybe Android phones, you can install a UNBS app. Just you go to the Google Play and you put the UNBS app. It will give you nearly all the processes, how you can buy a standard, how you can apply for certification, how you can use all the other online services for UNBS. And that way, it will be cutting the cost. When you look at public procurement, for example, you are only able to supply public with your product when there's a public procurement only if it meets the standards. One of the conditions is that you will be certified by UNBS or you meet the standards that exist. So for an SME to tap into that market, that big market, you need to know what standards are applicable and then you implement them. Then, because standards are developed by consensus, developed by stakeholders, the promoters, the regulators, the academicians, the manufacturers, through that engagement, there is acquisition of state-of-art knowledge, because there is sharing. And that information that is put down in the standard, you can never, ever get it just as a single-handed person. So for SMEs that are yearning for competitiveness, you need that information to be able to be on the safer side to compete with the big guys. Standards help in mitigating or handling the internal risks, because we have product standards which are specific, but we also have system standards which cover the entire spectrum of your operations, including procurement, including processing, including all the planning, the management, and all that. Now, those help because there is continuous evaluation of performance of an enterprise in regard to meeting the standard requirement. It becomes easier for the enterprise to be on a solid ground and take off, especially if the standards are understood in the real nature. And when that happens, there are reduced costs. Think of a situation that you have procured a raw material which is defective, and you have not identified it at the first time. When you have already started producing, you have found that the raw material you are producing is actually defective. So you have lost money in terms of processing, that is electricity and related items. There is manpower, there is time which you can never recover, and so on and so forth. So with standards in place, you are able to do those checks before you actually move in. Our normal trainings to SMEs, we discuss on how we can avoid that. Of course, by having some simple specifications in place, what we can call acceptance criteria for the different points of check, different controls, maybe at the raw material, at processing stage, and then final product stage. And if there is any deviation, you are able to detect it before it escalates. Increased competitiveness. Now, with standards, if you are meeting a standard, it means that your product has actually passed through a system of evaluation. This system of evaluation may be by yourself as an enterprise, maybe by your consumer, or by a government body like UNBS. Now, the person who will find it at the end will know that this product is actually safe and I can take it without any question. In that way, you will be able to access different markets. There are these certification marks like ours here, the 2 mark, that are recognized maybe cross-border or even in the international markets. You will be able to access that market because they know someone not interested in this product has checked it and found it complying. And there, you will grow in sales and hence your market growth. So, as you see, there are many. The multiplier effect of standards application and implementation at SME level, the multiplier effect is so high. So as SMEs and as UNBS, we encourage you, first of all, know what standards are applicable, how to apply them, and then see how best you can benefit. And as UNBS, we are still there to support you and hold you until you comply. What are the gaps? What's happening? Any issues? Any issues? What are these gaps? What gaps are we finding in the implementation of standards as a bureau? The first gap is the uptake of standards by the general public. There seems to be a culture of rejection or not minding about what standards are, what they can do, by everybody else, including you, the manufacturers, and those people adding value. Because we have at the back of our mind that we have been doing this thing for the last 100 years. So what is this you are telling me? For example, someone will say, we have been engaging with the maize millers and all the grain millers, and they are saying that, no, what you are telling us, we have been in our data structure for the last couple of years, and we have not died. So what is this you are saying? But when we went into now training to change the culture, they understood that, I can actually cut costs by implementing standards. And as I talk now, everybody in that sector is looking for certification. So there is that idea of changing the attitude. But you see, like at the Bureau, at UNBS, our capacity in terms of human and financial is still needing support from all of you. That you have 446 staff to do all the work UNBS does, just less than 500. And yet you have to do it. And yet, SMEs here, they need support. But the other person has actually paid for the service, not to UNBS, but to government. So you have to go the other side. But this man here who is coming up needs your support, needs you to go there wherever they are. They need this information. So those are the gaps that we still face. Then also there is a problem of limited technology innovation in the industry. Wherever you have trained, you are also here. If they asked you, do you have a research and development desk, at least a desk in your enterprise? It's actually not there. But you find when you are moving in the streets of Gulu, you have seen this man here making some juice. And you are seeing there are so many clients who want this juice. And then you say, I must take this idea home to Kabari. And indeed, you take it there. But you don't know what this man is doing. You have not put in some time to do some research, to know what it is, what you need to do better. So that is a big problem, especially with the agro-processing. It is generically implementing what is there. Then also, as I said, we have a dual role of promotion and enforcement. We do not have a streamlined framework for strengthening the working relations. Yes, we shall enter an MOU with you, but the only thing we can do is to give you information. That's the best we can do. Give you information, information, information. Now the issue is, are you taking this information forward? Are you implementing this? If that can be, then we would have easier and fast-tracked compliance. As I said, limited resources still exist, but amidst all that, the leadership has put in place some adjustments that, for example, if you applied today, we would make sure that you comply with all the requirements, you would get the certification within 21 days. But that one is only possible if you know and have this information. So there is a need to strategically put focus on the SME support at this point so that we are able to have fast-tracked compliance. Other than that, as UNBS, we continue looking forward to working with you, working with all stakeholders, and they say that certification process is expensive. There is nothing that is cheap in this world. But the leadership of the ministry and the UNBS have said, no, for SMEs, let them pay $500,000 per product per brand. But we find an SME has over 10 brands of one product. So what can the institution do? And yet even one is not selling, but they have 10. Then afterwards they cry, we don't have money. But with application of standards, we are aware that if you start with one good choice, well innovated, it can actually get you to the second one, it gets you to another one, and another one, and another one. Whereas it's a dream that we have so many on the market, then we should be able to foot what is required in terms of the cost. The other big guys will pay 1 million, you'll pay 500, at least support you. Then for testing, yes, UNBS will say maybe we shall test for you 1 or 2 parameters, then the rest you have to pay. So importantly here, that collaboration with the associations and private sector members helps us to understand how best we can move. I will know someone who started with 10 products of cosmetics, and when they failed, they started with 1, but I think now they are on 3. They are moving upwards. So you can see. So with that, thank you very much. We look forward to continuous engagement to comply. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to quickly recognize colleagues and officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries, represented here by the Commissioner. Thank you for joining us. Ministry of Labor, Gender, Labor and Social Development, the Principal Labor Officer is also here, and representatives from Uganda Revenue Authority. All of you, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. I would now like to invite Dr. Joshua Mutambi, who is the Commissioner Processing and Marketing at the Ministry. Daktari, karibu sana, to give your remarks. Thank you.
I can remove my mask. Thank you very much, MC. Thank you, colleagues, the Permanent Secretary. Thank you, the representative of the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Trade, all the invited guests and partners. Here to give an overview of the role of the Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Forum that we have just launched in organizing the MSME for survival and growth. As already many speakers have already said, I've already talked about the importance of the micro, small, medium enterprises, as they account for about 2/3 of all private sector jobs, of all the private sector globally, and about 80%. And according to the International Finance Corporation, the MSME account for up to 90% of all businesses. So you all agree that they contribute significantly in the economic and social development of our country. However, we know that they suffer disproportionately from limited access to markets, finance, skills, innovation that often put them at a disadvantage. Therefore, unlocking their full potential will require bringing the credit gap, strengthening the value chains, and boosting productivity. It's against this background that the ministry, working closely with the key stakeholders in the MSME sector, supported the establishment of an apex organization that would champion their cause. And this is the Forum Uganda that was incorporated in May 2020, this year, with that official registration. So what's the role of the forum? The chairman has briefly talked about it, but he will come in again to give the details. This forum is a non-governmental, non-political, non-trade union, a not-for-profit organization whose major objective is to propel the micro, small, and medium enterprise coordination and growth across the country. The membership of the forum constitutes mainly the subsector associations, but with strategic partnerships made with the sector service providers and support institutions, such as the ministries, departments, and agencies, regulatory and financial institutions, as well as corporate and development partners. Examples of such MSME forum across the globe include India. India launched their MSME forum at a similar day like this one in 2020. Singapore also has an SME and startup forum. Russia has a small and medium-sized enterprise forum. So for Uganda to also launch ours today, it signifies also the importance we put to our MSME forum. And for your information, the UN UNCTAD, when they got to know that we are launching the MSME forum, they quickly contacted us and they have put our minister on the list of the speakers in New York today at 5. We have shared the link. Yes, because that was very important to them. To us, it's an achievement as well, because the organizers or the formulators of such a day, their aim is to make sure that the SMEs, whom they know that they are the engines of the economy, continue coming together, surviving, and therefore they will sustainably continue holding the economies. For the case of Uganda, as I already said, this will be an apex body comprising of active and registered member associations. I think launching is one part. The second part is now to make sure that we create chapters and associations to join so that we can continue growing and make sure we take advantage of some of the opportunities globally. Some of the members, the founder members that have come together, you saw them when they were being recognized. They signed Chamber of MSMEs, Small Scale Industry Association was here, Uganda Women Entrepreneurs Association, NASA, among others. The forum aims to provide the MSMEs with effective representation and to advance the recognition of the role played by MSMEs in our economic transformation journey. This will represent the interests in the regional and global bodies, such as the World SMEs Forum, and shall advocate for better rules and regulations among standard setters. You are all here, you saw how the UNDP resident representative was really stressing the point that we have these opportunities open to us, but we shall not be able to take advantage if we don't come together, we support each other in either increasing our productivity, improving on our quality standards, and also market information. We have to share that market information. So some of the specific objectives and roles played by the forum include identifying and influencing and actively participating in the formulation of related policies. They will be helping us, the ministries, when we are formulating our policies and strategies that are crucial for transformation and growth of MSMEs. They serve as a neutral platform that amplifies the voice of MSMEs through advocating for changes and a friendly entrepreneurial ecosystem. It will offer a platform to MSMEs to promote themselves, to support institutions and partners, investors and collaborators to sustain long-term growth. They will mobilize the SMEs to participate in national, regional, and international events, such as the conferences, conventions, summits, business development trainings, expos, etc. We were being challenged here by the, again, UNDP resident rep, that they have supported all these associations, the Federation, Chamber of Commerce, PSF, you name them. They have trained them, but then she was like, what is next? Okay. So I think it is on our side again to go back, follow up those that have attained the trainings, and find out who are at that level that can enter the export markets. Of course, we shall not leave behind the UNBS man. UNBS colleague, we need you to facilitate these enterprises that have been supported. The forum will also recognize SMEs that have exhibited great success in leading their enterprises and grooming those through sharing best practices, opportunities, information, and knowledge. We conduct studies and research on factors constraining the SMEs, growth and competitiveness, and overall performance. It will collaborate with institutional partners to provide support and services to SMEs with a view to grow competitively and sustainably. It will also support establishment and strengthening of the associations, because there are other subsector associations that either they are weak or they are not yet formed. Some of those cluster associations will have to be formed and supported to make sure that they also grow strong. It will also promote self-regulatory mechanisms that will strengthen audit and supervisory functions of SMEs. My colleague again talked about the enterprises that are informed of certifying their products, that they need to be, assisted. So the forum will also make sure that we will go deep into their own members and disseminate the message. It will create an avenue for sharing lessons, business information, services, and so forth. It will also facilitate innovation and entrepreneurial skills, vocational training, capacity building, and others. Further still, it should enhance quick access to credit and sustainable SME financing through various mechanisms. In the ministry, we are in the process of finalizing the internationally recognized barcodes. And once that is done, then we shall again try to recruit many SMEs to acquire the barcodes. These barcodes will also help the SMEs to compete within the regional and international markets. So the forum will also support us in that. It will support strategic and sustainable linkages and partnerships between the SMEs and other organizations, governments, and development partners. It will provide holistic services generally to improve physical and economic well-being. It will promote product and service standards for quality assurance. I've just mentioned that. So we again come back to governance, because once this is established, it's not a government authority, because we were advised. It's not a regulatory body that it will be coming to close your businesses, but it is a private sector-led forum. And this governance, it will be governed by the body of directors on behalf of the general membership of the forum, which will consist of members elected in their annual general meetings. The Minister of Trade and Industry and Cooperatives shall also be an ex-official member because it plays a key role there in supervisory and other areas. So as we speak now, there is an interim secretariat chaired by Mr. Humphrey. He's going to come to give the details, and the operations will be established. In the meantime, I think the ministry will host the interim secretariat as they establish themselves. In conclusion, I think this is a good initiative which is going to give the SMEs development an agenda and more momentum. The forum can be a bridge across the various stakeholders so that we can ensure effective coordination between the public and private players. From here, a task force will be constituted, which will develop a roadmap for operationalization of the forum, and MTIC and specifically the SMEs Directorate pledges to provide full technical support towards the achievement of the objectives of the forum. I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daktari, and we will be winding up very shortly. Before we do that, though, I think, and before we can get a way forward from the Secretariat, and I'm assuming, Mr. Humphrey, you will be handling that. Yes, okay. Before we do that, we will open this up for a quick Q&A. If anybody has any questions, either from the SMEs or from any of you, we will take a couple. So please, if my request is you say your name, where you're from, and who the question is addressed to in particular. We will take about 5 before we start listening to responses. So if the question is addressed to you, please write down the answer and we will give you a chance to respond. So remember your name, where you're from, and who the question is addressed to, then your question. Thank you.
I'm Nakainda Regina from Rena Beverage Solutions. We do organic products, hibiscus, rosemary, okra, palm seed, coffee. And the question is addressed to Uganda Investment Authority. Thank you very much for the presentation and the request for cooperation among the SMEs. I want to talk on behalf of the agro-processors. I see here my sister, Bella. In the areas of cooperation, which you mentioned, for us we need to talk about quality of raw materials. That is now to comply with the standards as GNPS is talking about. However, our concern there is the cost of doing the whole process. We are aware of what we should do, but certifying the farmers to give us the quality of products, raw materials which we want is quite costly, and we need the cooperation of Ministry of Agriculture to really support us in monitoring what you have done. Then we also need to look at collective joint markets. We are aware that hibiscus is really a very good product and it can be in all sectors, including confectionaries, pharmaceuticals, skincare, beverages, foods, healthy foods. But getting those markets is a big problem. We need technical people to help us we know what we want, but we cannot easily penetrate. Then the technology for processing. We want our farmers down there to have the simple technologies to process the hibiscus the way we want, in the quality we want, so that by the time it reaches us, we have the right quality, even for all purposes, domestic and export markets. And finally, we have to convince the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, that hibiscus is one of the cheapest way of boosting immunity among our children, our families and patients, if the buying is there. But we still have a problem there, and I would request that we look at those areas of interest from our side of view. Thank you very much. I've not talked about packaging, but it is also a big challenge.
Thank you, Regina. Next question. There are two here. There's one in front of you, Bella Wines, and then two gentlemen this side. Your name, where you're from, and who the question is to.
My name is Prudence Ogunika, the CEO of Play Roma. You are known as Bella Wines and the juices. My sister Juliana has talked about one of the problems. Me, I'm addressing everyone, all the organs that have been here because you are all concerned. I just want an advice what we can do. Because you see, everything is going from bad to worse. We started with COVID, we bared it. I had got a very big international market, which was good for our economy. But because of COVID, it has gone down. I was forced to build a factory of juice. The way Madame Ren has talked about it, we have the best juice in the whole world. Though Ugandans don't know about it, we talk and they don't take it serious. But when you go out there, they take their laboratories and check. I convinced Brad Bank, instead of using these other beverages, they should use this juice. I had gone very far. They made me packaging, is it like 200 cartons? I don't know, somebody came and said, no, cancel that one. Because even I tried to demonstrate, they put a tent at my office. People were donating and taking our juice. And when they were promoting the health in Kororo, it was only a Bella juice and the hibiscus juice and the water which was around, because these are the only healthy things we have. So now I don't know how I can be helped. And on top of that, fuel has come in. We are being paying taxes. I'm been in business for the last 22 years, but I'm finding it very hard because the cost of selling is very, very high. I think of closing, finance don't close, URSA don't close, but now what do I do? Should I remain working on losses? And when you see my bottle was there, every bottle pays 6,000 to URA, but I don't even get it from a carton. But if I stop about 100 and above, people will have no jobs. If I stop over 50 farmers, will suffer. So I need your advice, because I don't want to hear Bella has refused to pay taxes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prudence. Those two gentlemen, and then the other one with the gray, and then we'll come to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. My name is Godfrey Fowondo, the National Chair, Cross-Border Trade Uganda. I'm actually branded as Cross-Border Trade. My simple question goes to Hamfres and Dr. Mukamba. Specifically, our organization, our member-based organization, but the big question is, which shall be raised by our membership is, other than networking, how best do they realize the benefit of this forum? I first of all also have to appreciate it is launched and existence for the bright ideas put in place. Then number two, what does it entail for our organization to be its member? Thank you.
You said your name is?
Come again?
Your name?
Godfrey Ondo, the National Chair, Cross-Border Trade Uganda.
Thank you, Godfrey. The gentleman there with specs, yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Kwebiham Samuel Aboy from Kampala Traders Advocacy Forum, the forum of traders in arcades of Kampala. It's a forum of 783 arcades. You can imagine one arcade is almost a village, a town rather, by population. My concern is goes to UNBS as MSME charging 500,000 per brand is on a higher end, I feel. The reason that, for us that have been into kind of production and you're trying to promote somebody at a micro level is so small. The biggest capital he has, I think, is the technical know-how. I want to give you an example of by population, structure in arcades of Kampala. These are youth. 70% of them are youth, I would like to say. They start from nothing, apart from their creativity. Now, imagine somebody who has decided to go into production, value addition, and then the brand is saying 500,000 is so big. They should revise it. Next is the couple, Kampala Traders Advocacy Forum, has been at a push of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. Ugandans have one problem. When they look at things that are made from here, they have a mentality, and they just say, this is local. This is local, and you get surprised. Like the way Bella say, we have the best juice on the global market. But the mentality of Ugandans, I don't know why they really despise their own things. I think the problem is the way we're trying to market ourselves, the strategies, so that we get to love of what we're doing. Before I get back the microphone, I want to recognize my team. If you allow me, MC. Right here is Dr. J.M. Mukasa, Executive Director of CAPO, Kampala Traders Advocacy Forum. I've also come with the General Secretary, Mr. Damlira Francis. I've also come with our accountant right in there, and Mr. Sul also as a team member. I want to thank Mr. Humphrey Mtasa, not the Mtasa Kapoor, who looked for us and recognized our importance. But I want to assure you, the local producers, we are a program that is really pushing for Ugandan products. So therefore, you want to probably all the traders downtown and arcades of Kampala to see that they push our products. We're with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maria. And lastly, that gentleman, before we start getting answers and responses.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the ministry, at least for having encouraged us to form this forum, which I think will boost us a lot, and more so to thank the directorate. My name is Ira Bosa, the chairperson of Confederation of Micro and Small Enterprises Uganda chapter, which is affiliated to East Africa general level, and I'm also the chairperson of Cafe Small Scale Industrial Development Association. My question was, I have about three. One is for the NBS. My colleague has mentioned one of the issues, but just to be practical and to be on the ground, has talked of 500. I want to assure you, to finish the process, it is 2.5 million. When I was coming here, some of my colleagues saw one of the items on the agenda that NBS is going to be here, and they told me, please, tell these people of NBS, at the micro level, we have a very big challenge. One of the challenges has mentioned of 500, which is supposed to be paid. Then there is that issue of testing. There is an issue whereby someone can go to these people You remain with some item, they advise you, please, you have to collect this and this and this. When you go back again, the process, and you again go back in the same process which you pass, even if when what you are collecting is small. Those are charges. One of our people, the micro, the small ones, the capital is between 3 million and 5 million. Imagine someone has taken 2.5. Again, you go back, they want another 2.5 for the process. We are requesting at least if there is something which small which is going to be corrected, let that person collect that one, and with it, even if it is a small fee, let it be a small fee, but not again to go back to do the same process. That is about NBS. And when you talk of 500, maybe those are the official charges, I don't know, but it is something 2.5. Then another question goes to the Ministry of Industry. The Honorable is not here, but he mentioned about promoting and even putting taxes to those foreign things which are coming from outside. Unless we promote or we address the issue of raw materials which are used by the local producers, we are having a challenge of production costs being high. And even if we have the skills, we have the technology, and we're doing some of these things, but when it comes to production costs, it becomes high because of the raw materials which are coming out. For example, the gentleman from MBS mentioned about these people, the crane millers. We do produce, we fabricate, we make some of these machines which are used in the processing of these, or which are used by the grain miller. But when it comes to the material, raw materials which are used to make these things are big expensive. Like, for example, one of the requirements, it is the stainless materials, which are too expensive for a local person here to produce a huller or a miller for that process. So unless you address the issue of taxing these raw materials and identifying the raw materials, for example, you cannot say that this shirt will be produced here and compete with that one from China when the raw materials which are produced in the textile is being taxed. So the raw materials will be very, very high. So unless the ministry address such a thing, it will not be easy for someone here, for the local industries, at least mainly at the micro level, to go ahead. Then another thing, I'm glad Commissioner mentioned about the backward. I was going to address it to the NBS. Just recently, in 2019, we went to Rwanda for an exhibition. One of the requirements, which is not here in Uganda, they could ask us about the barcode. And most of our traders, most of our business people, they don't know about this barcode issue. But if you have mentioned about it and it's one of the agenda, I really thank the ministry. And lastly, goes to the Revenue Authority. I understand I had the Revenue Authority officers are here. When we talk of startup business, we start business, and always many businesses are being started. But when it comes to sustainability, as the Commissioner has mentioned it becomes very difficult. This is a small enterprise. You got NBS 2.5. You go to Revenue Authority, they want a lot of taxes from us. And one of the things which they do, if you don't have the audit, or if you don't go there for, at least if we have a problem of audit. By you, this is our small business. For someone, the auditor to come to a small business might require about between 500 and $1 million. Between 500 and the small business we are starting up, it is of 2 million, 3 million. But the audit report will be taken to the revenue authority. It is that when you fail to do that, to take the returns, in order to make the returns, you have to do the auditing. And this small one, they don't have money for, and they can't employ the accountant in the business. And as the LBS gentleman has said, you cannot employ someone to research for this and that because you are small. So if you are told, and when you refer to take the audit report and to make the returns, this poor revenue authority, they will say, no, you made a lot of what? Profits, because they don't have the evidence that you did not make a profit. They charge you a flat rate, which is at times too expensive for this small thing. Hence, that enterprise will automatically collapse because the operation is so expensive for this to stand up. Then another issue, it is the RCD, the retention bill. It is too expensive. We have the same window with other investors. Someone with a capital of 3 million is required at least to pay almost $1 million to register. Then that also another issue of at least these micro and small carries to formalize. You cannot formalize, you have little capital, and when you go for registration, it is a bit what? High. First of all, for them they can take about 350 of the process. But they require you to at least to have a post office address, which is not even operational. I don't know who are using the post office addresses here, but it is one of the conditions they give you that you have to pay for the condition, which is for the address, post address, which is something like 200 and even 400. For a small one cannot afford. Then they expect you also to do some returns, this and that, a lot of things which at least are making it possible for the informal formalizing. Thank you.
Chairman Bosa has winded up very well, and just for clarity, he was referring to UNBS, not NBS, the TV. Okay, so we shall start with the UIA, Investment Authority. Please bring the microphone here to address Regina's issues. If you can, also say something to Prudence on what she can do generally with the current economies of scale and all other SMEs who are probably facing the same challenges, and then we shall keep answering as we go along. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Winnie Lawoko Olwe. I am the director for SME, but I head the division of the local or domestic investor. Allow me to first of all congratulate the MSME Forum of Uganda, because a lot of our responses are going to be your first action points. I want to thank Rena and probably also Prudence, she stepped out, for their questions. But before I make a response, I want to appeal to the leadership of these teams who are here. In most times, we cease to be investors when we are in this kind of forums, because we spend a lot of time talking about issues that would be best dealt with in our offices. Some of the issues that are raised here cannot be answered and concluded here. Let me just talk about the key issues that Rena raised. UIA is actively working with stakeholders who are investors in the areas of creating innovative clusters. And what does innovative cluster mean? An innovative cluster in the case of Rena would be
the agro-processors, where working together with you, and I think this we have talked about before, working with you, we are able to look at what is the supply and logistic value chain for that product. Having created that, we then have the different players taken through best practices that you can take back to your stakeholders and members. Now, once we've done that, it becomes very easy for us to begin to look at globally acceptable agricultural practices. Now, from a UIA perspective, I want to say that we have proactively started the process of being able to address those innovative clusters. Together with the USAID Feed the Future project, we are currently doing the proof of concept of the National SME Portal, and I want to appeal to all members here that when the time comes, please register your businesses. The businesses will be geo-mapped. And that brings me to to also quickly answer Bosa. We don't have post office boxes per se today, but I know that post office is working on what you call e-post. So e-post means that the post office box has been taken to the virtual space. When you apply to post office, they will give you a number, and you will have the option of either picking the your product from the nearest post office, or it being delivered to you either by safe border or any of the logistic steps available. Prudence talked about a number of issues, and all these issues I can also once again say, let the MSME Forum look at the critical products. Today I see in the room there's leather, there's crafts, there's agro-processing. We need to address those clusters. Once we've addressed the clusters, then you know the point. At which point do we need an intervention? Who are the players in that intervention? And then we can proceed. Now, in terms of what? In terms of products. Branding of your product. I think once you're an investor, branding of your products is very important. But even as Uganda, as we continue to do Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, we also, as UIAs, begin to look at critical product marketing. The Dubai 2020 has opened up a number of areas, and especially where people are talking about food and essential beverages. So I think these are things that we need to get on round tables to discuss this better, and I hope that the members are going to pick up on the MSME forum. We have the forum, I'm on the forum, but I don't see any critical discussion. Let's try to bring in the critical discussion, let the administrator track the issues, and then we conclude on issues. Too many things remain hanging. So, moderator, I think my humble request is that for us to unlock our potential and grow our potential, it is more than just workshops where we bring issues and it remains hanging. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I think going forward, if these conversations can start off with, I have been to the UIA office and I was not helped, then we can ask Madame Laoko to say, but it's not like we haven't reached there. We have, and there has been no traction. So I think let's use these government agency offices for what they are actually there for. And they are there to help amidst all these challenges. The second question will be answered by Humphrey or Dr. Joshua, whoever is here. I think Dr. Joshua stepped out, so Humphrey. This was Godfrey's question directly to the ministry. I think you have your response ready. And and then we shall hear from UNBS, because there's a couple that went to them thereafter. So I don't know if, I think Humphrey will start. I think I saw Dr. Joshua writing some notes, so he'll also, please give him the mic.
I'll answer the one that speaks about membership. Is that the one?
Yes.
Okay. What we are talking about now, from the launch up to the close of the year, we are having, as we talked with the ministry, as private sector, we want everybody, every institution, to be part of this. So we are still admitting members, and the ministry and the private sector that forms the forum has waived membership up to the end of September. Yes, so what you just need to do is to avail yourself your documents that show that you're a registered organization, and realistically you're a member-based organization, and you have an audience behind you. We don't accommodate, or we don't want institutions that are not representing micro, small, and medium enterprises. Some people, represent themselves. We want you to be a representative of the micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs. Prove that you're registered and you have a membership following, and then you will belong to the forum up to the end of September. I thank you.
Did you want to add, Dr. Joshua, or has he answered it?
The other, I don't know whether, maybe I could answer 3 or 4 other concerns that came from our colleagues from the Confederation. One of the reasons why we are setting up a forum, and so the ministry and government and other partners have seen value in this, is because some of these issues you are talking here, you have spoken about them, and sometimes they get little attention because they think maybe it's a small agenda and it's not affecting a cross-cutting membership. But now we have 12 institutions representing tens of thousands of MSMEs. So as a group, we are putting together a position paper, and the government of Uganda, from parliament to state to what, for example, our PS she's waiting. She even thought we had it here. So she's waiting. She wants those clear issues articulated in a very simple and very clear way. What do you want government to do tomorrow? So she's waiting for it. When we took her the certificate, she was saying, where is your... So she thought we were even taking it to her immediately. So please, this whatever has been listed up, these concerns have been lifted up, and we are going to meet as founder members to make sure this is listed and taken to the ministry. But quickly, as a forum, one of the things that we have been identifying is access to opportunities. Access to opportunities of financing, access to opportunities of technology, access to opportunities of travel and cross-learning, and all these things have been hampered by one, formalization. And we have really worked with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, and I want to thank those people, particularly the Department of Business Registration. If they are here or if they are not here, take them our thanks. They have decided to partner with the forum to make sure they make registration and formalization of MSMEs affordable. Colleagues, that is a big penetration. It has been a challenge. Okay? And number 2, we have spoken to the commissioner of URA, and particularly, I don't know whether Mr. Masembe is here. I was talking to him yesterday, and they have decided also. We met somewhere with the Commissioner General, and immediately he called his people, and they have decided again. We are going to have quarterly business information series where they are going to demystify the taxation education to MSMEs. Some people didn't know that you might not even pay taxation. They think when URA knows you, so is taxation. No, no, no. So sometimes demystification and sensitization of MSMEs has been lacking. So we are signing an MOU between us and the URA to make sure that we have a quarterly demystification of business information, particularly taxation. The other thing that you talked about is UNBS. I know my colleague is here who is coming from the MSME department, but as we speak to David, there are many things we don't know. Even ourselves who think we know, we were shocked of what is happening in UNBS now. They have really cut down the costs. So Mr. Bosa, if anybody is charging you 2.5 million, please speak to us. And it's good you have found a person. We are going to see UNBS. I want to know who really charged our MSMEs 2.5 million and to register what. You know, so these are some of the things we don't want monies for you to just be paying. No, no, no. There are certain things we know, they've been laid out, and we know who is handling what. We have a very good supporter in Patricia Ijalu. You know, these are the people that have said, is there anything lacking? Can we fix it? So these 4 MOUs with the URA, with the URSB, with UNBS, and we are signing them between July and August end to make sure that we have business information series and demystification of business information going forward. Okay? Yes, Madam Lawoko, I hear you, but maybe you are busy. But on the MSME forum, there are issues. Yes. And maybe because you are maybe on many platforms, but there are issues very well synchronized, very well synthesized, and we would be very grateful to share with you what is coming out and pertains the investment authority, because they think they are disgruntled, and some of them don't get what international and foreign investors get, when really sometimes they have more capitalization more than them. But other than that, audit, one of the things we are going to do, sir, and this is in your document when you read, is common user services. We are going to have legal services for MSMEs. We are going to have BVS services for MSMEs. We are going to have audit services for MSMEs. Because these are some of the things that have been limiting MSMEs from accessing opportunities. For example, our money in the banks. When you look at what they require, they want audit, they want what, and yet to hire an auditor as you, it will be very costly. We want to hire an auditor as us, and it will be cheaper. I thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Doctor, would like to add something? So,
thank you very much. I think you have explained very well. Just to add a few that are pending. You know very well that as we are saying SMEs find it hard to access financing, but at the same time we have a number of financing schemes around. And we came to realize that the challenge has been that most of our SMEs, their credit rating is not good. The records. So the MSME Forum, working with the ministry and government partners, we are going to conduct the credit rating mechanism of the members, so that it will be easier for you to apply for funding, and either you need support to get it easily or some kind of facilitation. So that is one other area that we are going, the forum should be handling in the ministry. Another one, we are saying, in addition to celebrating such a day on 27th June, the SME Forum is going to be having an annual conference where they will be accountable to you, the members. What you ask them to do, what have they done progressively. So that is one thing that is going to be on the roadmap. Every year we shall have an annual conference that you will be bringing your issues as we progress. I think that is so far where I can stop. The rest we shall discuss as we go along. Thank you very much.
Are you adding to help any of the, or you have a question? You're adding, okay. Let us...
Thank you so much, MC. I'm clarifying on a number of issues that have been raised about URA. In Uganda, we are about 42 million persons. Of these, we have about 2.8 million taxpayers. So as you can imagine, more than half the population is not yet on the tax register. So as URA, we are interested in growing the register, and one of the ways is to make sure that the small businesses can grow and mature to a level where they can contribute. So the whole idea of URA sometimes appears as if it's stopping the growth of MEs is not true. And the taxes are supposed to be taxed on profits. Now, the challenge we have here is many of our small and medium don't keep records. And very often, when you don't have records, when URA appears to you, you can't really tell whether you had a profit or not. So in many forums, URA tries to sensitize or educate the public that you need some records. It's okay, in URA, there are different types of taxes. You can actually file and say, I'm not having any record, any profit, so I have nothing to pay. So that is also acceptable. There are different regimes. We have one called the presumptive for the small and medium, and this is very simplified. Based on your turnover or total sales, you pay a small percentage. There are people who pay tax of 70,000 for a year. But I guess probably the problem is a lack of education and sensitization, which as URA, we are of course more than willing. You don't need any MOU. We can organize and you get the training through your different associations about tax. Then of course, somebody mentioned that you need a tax auditor. You don't need a tax auditor. Maybe you need the auditor, you feel you need the auditor because you don't know what to write. But URA is available to sensitize you and teach you how to do this. You can also reach us in case of any challenges, you can't file or you have a question. URA is here to serve you. We have a WhatsApp number, allow me to read it. You can reach us on WhatsApp, 0772 140 000. We also have the toll-free lines, which you can reach us on 0800 217 000. So on this toll-free line, you can actually speak in Uganda to explain where your challenge is, and URA can explain to you the detail of what tax you need. The taxes are not there to break your businesses, but jointly we just want to grow our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I will now ask the gentleman from UNBS to briefly answer, because two questions came from the Arcade gentleman and also from Chairman Bossa about the 500,000. I think Chairman Bossa's 2.5 million was that it was cumulative. There's the 500,000, yes, but then by the time you go through the process of do this again, pay this again, total, after all this is done to get your clearance, you pay 2.5 million. So quick clarity on that, and also whether or not the 500,000 is indeed too high, like was stipulated, or that is a fair assessment. And then after this, we shall go into our key takeouts and then our final remarks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I first of all would wish to let you know the evolution of 500,000, that initially all enterprises were paying 800,000 plus 500,000, that is 1.3 million. All of them, whether small or big, initially. Then in the intermediate, when we started the mandatory certification, as a way of supporting, the SMEs were paying 350 for permit and 500,000 for audit. So for certification alone, not testing, it was 850,000. Now, still we could see it was high because everybody was complaining. So, but UNBS is not the one which sets the prices or the costs. This certification cost is set by Parliament. for us to implement, but we would ask for reductions. Now we have gone up 500,000, but the testing fees remain. Now, my colleagues who said it is 2.5, maybe it involves the cost of testing. If you test and fail, you test again. And you test the parameters you have failed. You don't fail and then we say it is okay. The cost of testing is independent of the 500,000. Yeah? So if you add, if you accumulatively fail, of course you will pay more. But if you pass first time, you will pay only that is required. If you fail, then you will pay additional of what you have failed. Now, all this money, you actually don't pay it to UNBS staff. You pay it directly to URA, the central bank. UNBS does not touch your money. But if you go and make a packaging material printing, and you have poor records not based on the standard, absolutely you will have to cancel that. You will have to print others because you are misinforming. So before you go into these corrections, engage. Our audit process is a value additional process that the auditors will discuss with you which can work, which cannot work, but they will not tell you, use this. If you think you are not getting enough information from the auditors themselves, you reach to us, come to NPS. We have a toll free 0800133133. It is on the website. Yes.
Okay, so in the interest of time, this gentleman is here. He will answer your questions as soon as we are done. Please don't be in a rush. Nobody will beat you. They just want to ask a few questions on the UNBS conversation. Now, again, please, in the interest of time, our PS would like to, if you're adding, yes. Okay, bring the microphone is there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator, and all the participants here. Probably my commissioner did not highlight something to you, but as Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperative, we have a division directly helping SMEs in the issues or in line to certification. So all the preparatory activities, if you need to be assisted, so that when UNBS comes as your name to examine you, you would have already been taught by Minister of Trade. So that some of those issues like labeling, hygiene, and so forth, the flow of your productivity, production line or unit operations are dealt with right at that time when the ministry pays that on site. That will sort you in one way or the other. And I know also I was in Morocco one time and someone asked the SME in that place that for you to get a certification mark, give me 6 million. Why do you pay 6 million to such people? So I'm sure some of your members actually being conned. Like Ronald hinted, all the fees for UNBS activities or processes are paid through the e-portal, URA, full stop. But if you get a consultant, you know what they can do. They will charge you a lot of money and sometimes do even very fake work for you. Sorry for the consultants who are here. If you've ever done that, please take note. But please, come and work with the ministry. Most people didn't know of this, but you have that opportunity to be assisted. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll read out these numbers again, especially for URA and for your UNBS. URA's WhatsApp number, 0772 140 000. The toll-free line for the URA is 0800 217 000. The toll-free number for UNBS is 0800 133 133. Now, Mr. Humphrey, please, if you could come and give us our closing takeouts as are depicted on the screen, and then we shall have our closing remarks from our PS.
As I come to do this, please, an example of what people don't understand from the URA, and it's good we are talking now. Chinawataka Women's Initiative. She's that old woman who manufactures whatever you are seeing from straws. She was charged 92 million in tax. This one, by the Uganda Revenue Authority. 92 million. This one. She goes there, she talks to them. They said it has been reviewed, paid 2 million. She pays 2 million. I don't know how they used it to review. Now they've sent her on the 13th of June. She has to pay 52 million and she's been given 7 days. This is from Revenue Authority. And the person they are charging that manufactures things from straws. Before we go into creating jobs, she is using straws. So now, if you get to somebody like Volcano Coffee, what is going to happen? All the people that are in Kafu and they are believed to be having money in the arcades, what is going to happen? The woman using used straws is paying 92 million. Please, you want to speak something?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rajesh Kumar. I am the Deputy Secretary General of Indian Business Forum. I am also the Executive Director of Oxygas. I just witnessed to my friend what he said because we are a manufacturer of medical oxygen, and for that we need a UNBS certification, which we are doing for every year. And I witnessed to him that in UNBS everything is online. We go, create your account, ask for the product which you want to be certified. You get a bank form, you pay in a bank at the URL, you get the date for audit, the auditor comes, he do audit, depending upon your qualification or your product, even certificate, everything comes online. So I witnessed for that. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen from the business fraternity, our founding members, members of CAFU, and the colleagues from the USAID. Please clap for USAID for what they have done for us. That is very small for a person who is going to pay for our food. Please add them. Thank you so much, the institutional system strengthening activity. We thank you so much, a friend in Nyungu and your team. We thank the government of this country, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Joshua and your team. Really send our greetings to the PS, our ministers, and we thank you for supporting us. We didn't know. Sometimes we think government is until you reach there. We want to thank the Uganda Investment Authority for whatever you're doing for small and medium entrepreneurs, the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, and all the other government entities. I want to thank all of you people that come together to form your forum. Please, this is your thing, and you need to grow it. As we said, we can do a lot together. We can do a lot together. Please send our gratitude to the United Nations Development Program. And all of you exhibitors, thank you for coming and making sure that you have innovated. As the key action points, these are the things the area of finance. We said you wanted us to improve access to finance of MSMEs. That is something that is in our due. Promote efficiency and resource use and reduce the production costs. That is very well captured. Procurement, we wanted to designate a certain percentage of government procurement to MSMEs. Yes, we are going to do that, and for us to position, we are going to formalize and be on these portals. Encourage gender inclusive technologies, correct, I heard that. We are going to make sure that is fostered. In the marketing side of things, we are going, you want lowering the cost of certification and simplify certification processes, that is UNBS. Then we develop negotiation skills, correct? In some of the skills that we are supposed to be developing as a forum, negotiation is part of it. Maybe there are even some other skills that you need. You wanted us to emphasize quality assurance systems, branding, marketing, and access to packaging materials, just like our colleague and sister in Bella Wine and others.
Raise awareness of new marketing opportunities, correct. We are supposed to do that, and the Export Promotions Board and the Uganda Investment Authority are very handy institutions in doing this. This barcoding to be fast tracked, correct. This is something that we have captured. On the governance, management and regulatory environment, it is important to formalize enterprises, and yes, formalization has come out really. It is really limiting MSMEs from accessing opportunities, and we are going to support each other in this. Develop governance and internal management systems of MSMEs. Sometimes this is the loophole where people say you are not organized, you don't have governance, no board, you know what. I think these are things that we are very well captured. There needs to be periodic reviews of performance of MSMEs. This is going to be quarterly. And thank you so much. Hopefully you open up your doors for the forum. Encourage MSMEs to file returns, yes, both for directors' returns and final returns. If you don't know that, we are going to really build the capacity of institutions to do this. Strengthen the forum for better coordination. That is our call for everybody. Support vulnerable groups like women, youth, and disabilities to empower them. Yes, one of our gender inclusiveness is to make sure everybody is included and nobody left behind. That has been pointed out very well by the UN rep, UNDP rep. Revisit the regulatory framework and tailor it to the local Ugandan environment. Sometimes, yes, we need to make sure that we demystify this for us to understand it and how we can be part of it. Harmonize formalization strategies across ministries, departments, and agencies such that they all speak the same language. That has been a problem. When you go here, they tell you something else. When you go there, they speak something else. And this is when we had decided to go to the office of the Prime Minister. We thought it was the coordinating ministry, so that it gives us one information. Expedite auditing costs, make them a bit affordable, and we had an approach. I talked about it. At operations and management information systems, improve the quality and the content information of trade portals. We have one in UIA, we have the one for TEMTIC, and very many others, making sure that is done and is harmonized. Technological empowerment of MSMEs. Yes, sometimes we are challenged when you talk about our website. And one of the things that came out, UNBS, is not every SME goes to a website, sir. So, and we don't have many websites. So one of the solutions is demystification and telling people what to feel when they get onto a portal or on UNBS, URSB, and all these things. But also we are thinking if a website is part of what you want, yes, some institutions are willing to support your websites. Like one of the best websites is the website of the Water Governance Institute. Is Henry here? Yes, he has one of the best websites. And one of the services that we think MSMEs have to do is to have a one-stop web portal, such that you just say www this / women initiative Chinawataka, and then you go to a 3-page website of that MSME. MSMEs to embrace the forum, the joint and the collective mobilization. This is something that is the reason we formed. I think that's what we captured. I want to end there, and in case we have left anything, please, we are here after lunch. You can obviously reach out to us. We are on 772-321-736. 772-321-736. And on 704-778-646. 704-778-646. I thank you so much. Thank you, dear exhibitors. Thank you, everybody who has come. And Madame Bella. Madame Bella. Yes, so everybody, you must. Otherwise, I will not have a job with Madame Bella. You must pass and see each one of their products. You see what your MSMEs are doing outside Kampala, or even in Kampala here. Please, I thank you so much, and have a very, very good afternoon. Doctor, you want to add something? No? Okay. Thank you so much, and wish you a very, very good afternoon. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Humphrey. I would now like to ask our Undersecretary to please come and officially close our deliberations today. As he does that, Mr. Ndima, please come and also hand over certificate to the founding members and support institutions. Founding members, I think that includes you, Humphrey. Certificate handover. And then after that, you give your closing remarks. The certificates. I think we'll call them very quickly. There are many, so please let us do this as quickly as possible. Uganda Small Scale Industries Association, whoever is representing those, please come very quickly. You will, please, Uganda Women, any member, it's okay, just as long as you're here. Water Governance Initiative, please come and get your certificate. Institute, sorry. Uganda Tailors Association. AgriPoint Initiatives Limited. Uganda Hair and Beauty Alliance. Confederation of Micro and Small Enterprises, Uganda Chapter. Rice Millers Council, Uganda. National Alliance of Agric Cooperatives. Uganda National Chamber of Commerce of SMEs. Humphrey, are we done? We're good? No more certificates? Okay, Ministry of Trade Industry, I think you. Uganda Registration Services Bureau, any representative present? Dr. Joshua, this is for you, Commissioner. United Nations Capital Development Fund, any representative present? United Nations Development Program? No representative from UNDP, okay. I think this is yours, sir, the PS. Ministry of Finance, anybody here? Planning and Economic Development? PSFU, anybody present? USAID? And also Feed the Future, so you will take both, I think. Uganda Investment Authority. UNBS. That's UIA, this is UNBS coming. Uganda Revenue Authority. United Nations Industrial Development Organization. The EU. Okay, that is it. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Andima to please give his closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the moderator. All protocol remain observed. In the interest of time, I'm not going to read through the protocol. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start by congratulating the MSME Forum for this launch and for becoming one of the few MSME Forum in Africa and in the world. Today we have made a very big step in launching this forum. I thank you and congratulate you on this success. A lot of things have been said by the previous speakers, and I think it will be very unfair if I don't mention a few of the things government is trying to do to help our people, including the MSMEs, in promoting whatever they are supposed to do. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Uganda has a number of programs that are aimed at helping our poorest people, our people down there, to come out of poverty. And many of you know this already, but just allow me to mention some of them. And the reason I want to mention this is so that this forum today will help those small and medium enterprises and our local people to get jobs. And that's the only way we are going to lift our people and attain what the government target of medium income status is. A presenter said we are not going to talk about the medium income status, but we should focus on the MSMEs if we're supposed to achieve the middle income status. So government of Uganda, through a number of programs, is trying to achieve that. We have the Imyoga program, which all of you know. And this is a program where the government is targeting groups that come together to improve their welfare. And I'm very sure this forum is one of those that can help you access funds from the Imyoga program. Government is establishing a number of industrial parks across the country, about 25 of them, which is going to be scattered all over the country. And this is going to be done 5 per year for 5 years. So you can take advantage of this as well and ensure that you benefit from this government program. We have the current one now called the Parish Development Model. This module
I am sure many of you know it already. It works through groups of people, what they call circles. Ministry of Trade is in the lead of the formation of the circles and their registration. Ministry of Gender is leading the mind change of that program. Agriculture is in it as well. So I want to say this forum today, which has been formed, which has been launched, has a very big role to ensure that their people also join in and support this program and see how best it can help them to improve on their businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, you have already known that Uganda, as part of East African Community, has already had a very big leap since DRC joined the East African Community. About 2 weeks or so ago, we had a team from Uganda going to Congo, Kinshasa, to start negotiating for trade. And this forum should be able to help our MSMEs to also benefit from this trade within the region and outside. We have the East African Community, we have COMESA, we have African Continental Free Trade Area, and many other regional blocks. Let us take advantage of this. I attended a function where we had the Bella Wines, and she was giving us an experience where she was supposed to attend some function somewhere, I think in Arusha or something like that, but she had challenges. Now, with this forum, I think that should be history. You should be able to facilitate your members to access any market within and outside the East African community. Let it be a collective effort for you to fight for your members to access markets within and outside the region. As Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, I want to pledge to you, all of you, and the forum, our continued support. As we were already informed, we have a whole directorate for medium and micro small enterprises, MSME, a whole directorate. And this directorate has 2 departments. And our team in the ministry will do anything that it takes to make sure that we support you in any endeavors that you want to achieve. I just want to introduce the commissioner in charge of processing and marketing, who is here, who has been taking us through this, Dr. Joshua. Thank you very much for a job well done. And I want to assure you that our policy in the ministry is open door. If you have anything that is itching you, that is not correct, please come to the office. We are open and we are ready to help you at any time. The other commissioner here is the one for business development and quality assurance. Can you please stand up for recognition? Yes, there he is. So those are the gurus of that directorate. So if you have any challenges, please don't hesitate to come to us and we shall be available for any help. I'll not be able to conclude my remarks if I don't appreciate the contributions of the various partners here in this function. One, the staff of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives for their efforts that made this very day a success. Thank you very much, Dr. Mtambi and your team, for organizing this. Allow me also to recognize the enormous contributions of USAID through the Feed the Future program for your support to make sure this function is a success. We really appreciate what you have done. UNDP, it is mentionless, you have done a lot. We also appreciate you. UNCDF, AMTAD, and UNIDO. Your contributions and support are really appreciated, and we thank you honestly as a Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Cooperatives. Uganda Investment Authority, thank you very much. We have the government agencies including UNBS. UNBS, thank you very much for your support. MSME champions, our exhibitors there. We thank you very much for coming, and ladies and gentlemen, before you go away today, you see what our exhibitors have put there. If you can support them, please support them before you leave. And those are the people that are now making Uganda to appear on the map. I have already talked about Bella. Bella wine is almost everywhere now in East Africa and beyond. So please, before you go away, go and see what they have. Private sector members, you are appreciated. We thank you for everything that you are doing. As I said, we as a ministry and as government, we are ready to support you and to do anything it takes to make sure that you don't have hiccups in your business. Yes, Smart TV, you are appreciated. I have seen you doing a lot of things here, moving up and down. Thank you very much for being our partner, and we can't take you for granted anymore. Anytime we have functions, we shall call on you. Please, come again. Ladies and gentlemen, with those, I don't know whether there were very many or very few, but with those, I want to take this opportunity now to declare the celebrations and launch of the MSME Forum and close this meeting. I thank you very much for God and my country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andima. Very quickly, I will just thank all the exhibitors by name: Alinda Crafts, Wawol, Sigo Homes and Boris Processing, Chroma Limited, Bella Wines, Creative Women's Development Association, Chinamataka Women's Initiative, Mermaid General Oils of Hope, Foragiamento Enterprises, Country Shoes, Barrister House, Chikazi Agric Products, Pesa Blacksmiths Wood and Crafts, Rukanju Company Limited, Sopatra Artifacts Collections, JJK Winery, Kana Wines. All of you, thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That brings this official part, this part over. We have one last order of business, and that is lunch. Lunch is served on the floor below us. That is first floor. You will pick your coupon at the entrance/exit. And please do not go without your coupon because they will disturb you downstairs. Before we go, I would like to invite us all for a group photo opportunity. Also a big thank you to Rela Beverage Solutions, and they are all here available. Thank you so much, madam. So everybody, for a quick photo opportunity, group photo op, and then we shall head for lunch at the floor below us, Silver Sands Restaurant. Thank you.